Hi there, my name is Peter. I want to talk to you today about the Department of Fisheries and Oceans salmon allocation policy. This policy was established in the 1990s, and what it did was it allocated fish among the various user groups: First Nations, commercial, and sport fishing. Originally, the primary purpose was to establish the need for conservation. That's the first priority. The second is for food, social, and ceremonial purposes for First Nations. The third and fourth was split equitably between the commercial fishery and the sport fishery. The new policy is being renewed because of what's called the Ahousaht decision. This is for indigenous rights-based fishery, so it's another commercial fishery. And the policy is being reviewed, and the discussion is to remove the priority, because commercial originally had priority over sockeye, pink, and chum fisheries, and the sport fishery had priority access, which meant favored access towards Chinook and coho, which are the primary sport fish that people are sought after. What is now being opened is to make the commercial access to all the fishery. Commercial harvests 85% of the salmon in British Columbia. On average per year, they get access to about 7.5 million fish. The sport fishery has access to about 15% or less, or roughly 1.5 million fish. If there's a real abundance of salmon in a year, the commercial salmon fishery can double that or more because they have the capacity to. The sport fishery generally stays the same. But there's a difference, a big difference. The commercial fishery produces about $58 million in annual revenue related to salmon, and most of that salmon goes to export. The sport fishery generates $1.25 billion. So what that means is the average commercial fish is valued at somewhere around $11, and the sport fishery generates about $740 per salmon. Not only that, the commercial fishery generates about 880 direct jobs. The sport fishery generates 9,100 direct jobs. And these jobs are spread throughout British Columbia and the coast and in the interior. So there's a real difference. And the sport fishery is very concerned that if the Chinook and coho get allocated to the commercial fishery, that this will have a huge impact on both the economic value that's to Canada and the employment that comes from the sport fishery. So what we're asking you to do is register with your local member of parliament, because this is a federal decision, but also with your provincial MLA, that as a sport angler, you want the salmon allocation policy distribution to remain the same. The commercial fishery does get access to Chinook and coho through the troll fishery and incidental catch in the gillnet and the seine fishery. So it's not like we're taking fish away from them. We really want to establish the value of the sport fishery, that it's understood by our politicians, and that the allocation stays the same. So again, write your local member of parliament, send them an email, phone their voice line, and ask them to keep the salmon allocation policy as it is. Thank you for your time.